moly. What a night. What a night. I am telling everyone out there what is going on, and it is good news. We did not get the short act, which is a kind of bad news, but the HPA, well, let's give everyone a minute to get in here just so we can get some extra people in here because the HPA is 100% good to go. Yes, the HPA is section 2 of the HPA is in the House of Representatives and it will be voted on. What we are getting is HPA section 2, which is removal of suppressors from the NFA, which is a very, very good thing. So no more taxes, no more whatever that is going to be voted on. It is going to be in there. The short act we did not get, unfortunately, but not all hope is lost with the short act. And did my camera just freeze up? Oh my goodness. I got to figure out what the hell is going on here. But yeah, so just give me a second. You guys can still hear me, which is all that matters. We're gonna get my camera back up and running here, and we're gonna. That is not my camera. That is my iPhone camera. But yeah, let's just get this going here. All right. So what is going on is that the section 2 of the short act is back in the bill. Are you serious? Fuck me. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. So here's the thing, right? The short act was not included, but we did get HPA section 2 in, which is very important. Section 2 would remove it from the suppressors from the NFA and kill the tax stamp. The language of the $0 tax stamp was also left in the bill. That was left in the bill as an insurance against the Bird Act. We think it will go the through the Senate and pass the Bird Act, even with the removal of suppressors from the NFA. We do think that will happen, but just in case that doesn't happen, they left the $0 tax stamp in there. So this is a victory for us, even though we didn't get the short act. Now let's go ahead and talk about the short act. The short act would remove short barrel shotguns and short barrel rifles from the NFA. That did not get there. And then what we will do with that is push the Senate to add it back in. The Senate can add back in the short act, and there's more of an appetite for the short act in the Senate anyway. So the HPA, I saw this question out there. It's going in as part of the reconciliation bill. So the reconciliation bill is a bill that deals with everything budget. So the HPA will not be on a separate bill. It will be part of the HPA. Not part of the reconciliation. What that means is that you do not need a 60 vote majority to get it through. What you need is a 50 vote majority to get it through. Because once you hit 50 votes, the tiebreaker is Vance, and Vance will vote for it. But it looks like in the Senate, we'll probably have about 53 votes. Yes, no registry with HPA. Looks like about 53 votes. President Trump wants to sign it right now, and I think he will see it being signed within less than a month. That is a good thing. Once it gets signed by the president, the NFA for suppressors is dead, which means boom, all gone. I am ecstatic about that because I was going to order a couple new suppressors today, but the ones I want were out of stock. We can't celebrate quite yet, not until the Senate votes on it, but I think the Senate will vote on it. I know, but you can I know they're not firearms, and you would much rather have the Shush Act, so would I, but the Shush Act includes removing from the GCA, and the GCA is a policy law and not a tax law. The NFA is a tax law, and that's why it can be done through reconciliation. We are going to get this through. I am very, very happy about that. Now let's think about the home builders here because I know a lot of the people that watch my channel are home builders. Right now, if you were to 3D print a suppressor, you would have to put a little metal piece in there, serialize it, fill out Form 1s, and everything else. Once this goes through, and I'm confident that it will, I am not going to say 100% confident, but I am confident there is a great chance of this going through and suppressors being removed from the NFA. What that would mean is you could go, if you are in a free state, and print a suppressor on your printer and have a working suppressor in a couple of hours without registering it, without anyone knowing or whatnot. They will be transferred under a 4473 like a gun. So basically, if you order it offline from Palmetto State Armory or whoever you order off, because there's gonna be a lot more people selling suppressors online, it will be shipped to your FFL and you would do a 4473. The only bad part is you cannot have suppressors shipped to your door. The short act was not in there the House. It can be amended in the Senate. Once it passes tonight, it will go to the Senate. Now the Senate will probably take a couple weeks to go through, and then it can be amended in. So after tonight, what we need to do, we need to start calling our senators. You would be able to make them yourself. Private sale of them. Yep, you can private sell it just like any other gun if you are in a state that allows private sales without going through a background check. Which means that like if you're in Florida or whatnot, you can go meet someone in the Walmart parking lot and you can sell them your suppressor, which is freaking incredible. I like how crump I like to crump my own crumping suppressor. One of the builders community right there, Anon, right there. I knew a lot of people are gonna be cranking them out on their 3D printers, which is a good thing. I think a lot of people know that this is gonna happen because I was looking for a couple new cans today, and everywhere they were sold out. The ones I wanted and the calibers I wanted were sold out everywhere. This will go into effect once the Senate signs it, and once the Senate signs it and President Trump signs it. Okay. Yeah, the Shush Act would remove him from the NFA and GCA. The problem with the Shush Act is you will need to get a 60 vote majority, a super majority to pass that out of the Senate, and I don't see that happening. And it's the full HPA removal from the NFA. They're GCA items that will not be NFA items anymore. Uh, they'll be treated just like any other firearm. So you wouldn't have to notify the government if you're crossing state lines. All we need to do now is to get the short act added back in. We can do that through the Senate. Once it hits the Senate can add the short act back in. Once the short act gets back in, it'll be voted on again, and hopefully it will go through. The president wanted the short act, and the president wanted suppressors off the NFA. Here is a good thing. What will happen to the ones that are registered? What they should be doing is once this gets signed, once it goes to the Senate and President Trump signs it, the ATF should delete their NFA records for all suppressors. You won't get your money back, but you would get your suppressor off the NFA registry. Could you conceal it? That depends on your state. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if your state allows you to, then you can do it, right? I do think that suppressors are going to crash in price, so that's going to be great for everyone. The reconciliation bill will take effect once the president signs them. It is really, really cool. Okay, well, it depends about buying the suppressors before or after President Trump signs them. After President Trump signs them and signs the reconciliation bill, if it goes to his desk, it's going to be kind of hard to find one. Look who we have here. It's the HPA, not the Shashak.
I look terrible.
What's up, old man? This is Patrick, also known as Babyface P, Chromandium Arms, misspelled.
I look terrible right now. I need a hat. So I was watching some of it. I came downstairs in my underwear to jump on because this is like historic. This is happening. This is happening. What could stop us at this point, if anything?
A bunch of senators having a change of heart.
That's it, though. And we're getting the word. The rumor is, the word on the street is, the votes are in, right? Like the votes have been counted.
They know they have it. When would be the earliest? Can you sign within a month? Probably would be the earliest.
I'm thinking, yeah. My guess, my thought would be a couple weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay. I got to go to the Senate. Probably about 2 weeks.
I will be reaching out. I will be reaching out to my wholesalers tomorrow and possibly procuring a couple things. I have 7 things in the safe right now that I've been sitting on for like 8 years that I've never transferred. Those are coming straight over. I might order a couple things. I have a feeling since this is happening.
HPA.
The HPA, yes. Sorry, HPA. Oh, I have a feeling since the HPA is definitely happening or mostly happening, your cans and stuff you're going to see are going to dry up, which don't rush, don't panic. They're just going to slow down. You won't see them for maybe a year or two. I mean, it depends, but you'll be able to get stuff here soon.
Right now, they're just flying off the shelf.
I have a feeling. I called one of my wholesalers today who funny enough, they just got suppressors 2 months ago. They just became a dealer for 2 large suppressor companies. And I told her, I was like, have you been watching the politics and all? She's like, yeah, we've seen some things. And I was like, lady, prepare yourself, because once things go into motion, you're not going to be able to keep a can at wholesale. Like, they're going to all be gone. So
Live Life says the Senate could add the short act back in and kick it back down to do the short act. That is 100% true, and that is what we are going to hope.
There we go. Let's get rid of the bald head. Now I look much better.
What do you? Let me ask you a question, since you are a manufacturer and everything else. What would you do and say? What do you think will happen with integral? Yeah, that
what will happen to them
a lot more built? Yeah,
they will proliferate. I think the reason we don't have, like, here's another great example. MP5 SDs, There will be a market for SD barrels for MP5 kits because it will now be super easy to go and get yourself an SD barrel or an SD suppressor. Throw it on your MP5 SD. MP5 SDs will proliferate. AR-15s, the stuff like the Leonidas or what's the other one that Liberty makes, any of those integral things, they're going to proliferate. The coolest ones, if anybody's out there has never shot an integrally suppressed 1022, that's the only 1022 to own moving forward because it's unbelievable how cool they are. The whole package is the package, barrel length, whatever, and you have it's just the entire suppressor. I think I think things are going to change here in the next couple of years, and this will free us to innovate. Companies will be able to come into the space and go, hey, this is easy for me to spin up a company, produce items, and sell them without having to go through all of the ATF rigmarole, getting an SOT and all the other crap. And two, this will help companies innovate and go, well, before there wasn't a market for this niche thing because I could only guarantee I would sell 100 of them. Now it's like, hey, I can stock them at any FFL, or you can call me and I can send it from my shop directly to your FFL, like any guns that I make. It opens the market for people that I think will there will be less trepidation for innovating and making unique, interesting. You want to know the first one that I want that's really unique? Have you ever seen those 22 cans that were like the pill bottle or whatever? They're like one tiny little can with a wipe. I've wanted one of those for years, but I've never bought one because I'm like, I don't want to pay the $2. I'm absolutely going to get one. Whenever I see one somewhere, I'm totally going to buy one because they're cool as hell.
Redneck Saber says he just bought a Car 15 SD upper from Broad River.
If you guys go look, the Leonidas uppers and those sorts of things from Liberty are insanely cool. Absolutely insanely cool. No, I think technology will. This is going to be really good because we haven't had a technological change in suppressors since the beginning almost. 3D printing has allowed I'm not a suppressor manufacturer, but it has allowed manufacturers to change how baffles are designed and stuff like that. This will allow more people into the space, which I put on Twitter for somebody today that we're going to see a sharp increase in price just real quick as everything floods out. And then we're going to see a drastic drop. It's going to be like the PSA getting into the AR-15 market where companies are going to get in, make some shitty cans, blow some people up. It's, they're going to make stuff that isn't great. You're going to find really cheap $50 suppressors, and you're going to find really fancy $1,200 suppressors. And you're going to be able to buy to your heart's content, whatever across the market, which is how it should be.
Yes, you would still need to go through a background check. It would just be a 4473, like buying.
Think of the thing that I would say is think of it like in whatever state you live in. For whoever's watching, think of it like how whatever it takes for you to buy a firearm. So for me here in Florida, I can go on Florida Gun Trader and say, hey, I have this suppressor. Meet me at this location with this price, and we'll just make a trade. Because here I don't have to worry. If I want to buy a pistol and somebody has it, I just say, here's $500, give me your gun. So that will be available. If you buy from a dealer, like if you came to me and bought from me as a dealer, I would do a 4473. You would have either your waiting period or you would skip it if you have a CCW here in Florida. And then you go home. You take your can home, you put it on your gun, and you go have fun. I'm gonna have to do some videos on silencer do's and don'ts.
No, don't boycott Silencer Co. They're cool people. They didn't do anything.
No, don't. Silencer Co. is an amazing company. Do not boycott them. They are fantastic. The owner of Silencer Co. started, as far as I remember, the American Suppressor Association from 2011. They've been pushing this since about 2011. They're a good company.
Did you see yesterday they wrote their motto was changed to Silencer Co. No, we're not that Silencer company.
Yeah. There's Silencer Co. is a great company. Do not boycott them. I have 5 or 6 of their cans. They're wonderful. Their customer service is second to none.
Sold out right now of everything.
I'm gonna go on my wholesale site tonight and see if there's anything I can find because I have a feeling dealers are gonna be tomorrow. They're gonna wake up and wholesale is gonna liquidate.
Yeah, I talked to some people at ASA tonight, and they spent a lot of time lobbying. Like I said, I'm gonna tell you the people that lobbied the hardest for this, and that is ASA, American Suppressor Association, Gun Owners of America, and NRA.
I'm very happy to hear that the NRA stepped in and helped, because I do not have a high opinion of them. A lot of people that know me know that I have a very negative opinion of them over the last 20 years of what they've done. So this is a win across the board. I'm going to be when the pin goes to paper, I want to jump on the live stream and pop champagne with everybody else, because that's going to be the biggest thing in my lifetime for guns to this point.
I prefer the monocore, but it's personal preference.
Oh, you talking baffle designs?
Yeah.
There gives and takes. What are we talking? Did he ask a specific caliber? I didn't see the
No,
comment.
he just said, do you prefer monocore stack baffle?
Stack baffles are really good in 22s, where they will reduce first round pop and they can be pressed out, broken apart, and clean. So anything that's going to be really dirty, stack baffles are really great. Full rifle cans, monocores are wonderful.
Yeah.
You don't care about first round pop because you're shooting supersonic anyways. They're super durable. Gives and takes.
Yeah. The suppressors have been stifled in technology, besides some of the stuff that like Huxworks is doing with the flow through technology and stuff.
But again, the reason they can do that is because of 3D printing. Other than that, because you can't machine that on a traditional like 5-axis machine. So 3D printing did that. But beyond that, yeah, it's the same car muffler that's been around since when did Hiram Maxim do his, in the 19-teens?
Maxim gets a lot of credit for developing the first suppressor, but I actually did, when I wrote my book, I did research into it.
Was there one before that?
Oh, there was a couple before that.
He proliferated it.
He made the first commercial.
Yeah.
There was a couple other guys that made it, but they never really sold it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he commercialized it, and
Sweden. 2 guys from Sweden.
Back to original America, where you could write his company, put however much money was in the envelope, and one of those would show up at your door. Next thing we got to get rid of is 4473s, but we'll cross that bridge later. But yeah, they would just show up at your door and you put it on your Model 94 and go hunting.
The short act is not in right now, but it can be amended in the Senate, and there's more of an appetite for the short act in the Senate than there was in the House. So what we're hoping to do is have the House modify it to put the short act in. But yeah, that's
so this is a big. I'm still not counting my chickens. I know we're probably.
Yeah, no, you can never.
I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but this is like this is the craziest political news I think I've ever lived through, other than, I mean, positive political news. It seems like all we get is negative stuff throughout my lifetime. This is like the first thing that I'm like, oh my God, I get liberty back. We get true liberty. It's not all liberty, but we get a chunk of our liberty that's been stolen is coming back.
Well, you are looking at it in a pragmatic way. I will say that we've had more victories in the past 30 years than we've had defeats.
Yeah, I guess you're probably right about that. Maybe I'm just so used to being kicked that I only see the bad stuff.
Let's go back to 1995.
Yes.
What's the largest magazine that you can...
Believe me, I know. It sunsetted in 2004, which I wasn't into guns. I was in high school in 2004. So I wasn't around then. I can only imagine what it felt like when that sunsetted and they were like, oh, we can have everything again. Like, that's got to be awesome.
In 1995, most states were may issue. Now every state is shall issue, and the majority of states are constitutional carry. We've gotten Bruin. We have gotten Heller.
But okay, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be negative. I just want more. There are things that I want, and they're selfish. I want 545. I want barreled parts kits back in the country. I want any of the spoils that are in Ukraine. I want them chopped up and brought here. I'm looking to the future, but no, we have looking at the past. The CCW landscape has changed immensely for the positive. And that's something I don't give credit to because I'm just used to living in modern CCW where I have reciprocity with like 40 other states or something.
Yeah. So once again, the short act is not in there, but it can be amended in the Senate. So we're gonna have people call. The import bans, I do not see those lifting until the whole Ukraine thing is settled.
If we want to go off on that slight tangent, there was an interesting thing that Trump said the other day. I watched one of his speeches saying that he would love to see more reciprocal trade with Russia, which is a very interesting thing because I haven't heard that out of a president ever. So,
yeah, but I don't think
Burger Mark to Sicario.
Burger Mark Sicario. Stainless steel.
Mark Ford Sicario, yeah.
All right, let's go. That was let's see here. Jack Newman says, "Look at you! You made it to the big."
If anybody wants to go check out my Instagram, I have a crank that I just built. That's my customer and friend, and I built the crank for him, so that's why he said that.
Waller's Hunter says, "Which senators should we concentrate on? Basically, all the Republicans, because the Democrats were not going to." Actually, from what I hear, we might get 2 Democrats on this.
I'm guessing we shouldn't say anything about that yet.
No, I'm not going to say who the Democrats are, but I'm hearing that there might be 2 Democrats.
It's not unbelievable. It's still it's one of those things that's not going to hit me until like even after pen goes to paper. It's going to feel so wrong. 4473ing cans to myself or to other people, like it's going to be weird for a long time because I'm so used to the NFA.
Yeah. Is Corvandium Arms going to make the suppressors, or is
you know what's funny? I have talked about reworking cans if I had customers come in with original baffle stacks for old AKs or old well, you know what? That customer that just gave you $2 and said, "Look at you, look at me." He has some interesting. He's a big AK guy, and has some interesting ideas for some cans he wants to see created. Some older reproduction stuff for Mausers and Mosins, and we'll talk about it as time progresses. It will be very. If I do make stuff like that, it'll be very, very unique, non-commercial stuff. It will be very, very interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but no, there's 2 Democrats that are leaning.
Don't.
I'm not going to name anybody.
Let it ride.
If you don't want Mark Kelly, you call somebody else's senator.
I'm guessing for anybody out there listening, John will probably have another live stream here eventually, letting all of us know when we need to be calling our senators because first hurdle's done.
Start calling them tomorrow morning.
Oh, you really think we should just every day you put in your phone calls and out?
Start it now.
Okay, that's a good thing. I thought we would have to wait. Perfect. I will call my senators tomorrow. 100%.
Start calling them now, because honestly, the reason why we got all this is because of the pressure.
That's what I'm taking away from this. Is they're not used to this volume of calls ever. This doesn't happen for anything.
There were so many calls that the switchboard actually went down.
And get used to calling. We should say that. My opinion is get used to calling your reps. There's nothing wrong with it. There's people just like you, and they work for you. Be cordial and tell them what you want, and then move on with your day. Like you should definitely be active in calling them. The more I call my reps about anything, the more I'm like, this actually wasn't that uncomfortable. I left a quick message with a clerk or whoever answers the phone. Who knows if they get those messages? I'm not sure how that works on the back end, but I did what I could.
This is a really good question here. And honestly, I don't know the answer. Will people charge with NFA suppressor crimes be pardoned?
I have a so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the way the law works is if a law is changed and you're already found guilty, you then have to appeal and say, "Hey, this law has been changed. I would like my sentence removed, revoked, whatever under this new law," and that can
Usually it's
process
muted.
proceed. Commuted. If you are in the process of being charged with a crime for a suppressor, your attorney could then come out and say, here is the new argument we have. These are no longer on the NFA. Our argument is changing to this is no longer a crime. This isn't a crime. It's a moot point, and you would try to moot the case. I think that's how that works.
Yeah, well, you would try that, but it doesn't remove your conviction.
Correct. So if you were already convicted, it wouldn't remove the conviction. If you were in the process of being charged and going through a criminal trial, you could then try to get it mooted where you would have no conviction. I can't think of it. Are there any major cases right now against suppressors? I can't think of any.
They're Peterson case.
I don't know that one. I'll have to look it up later.
Peterson, there's actually one in Texas and one in California right now.
So here's another question for me.
The short act was not in there, but it can be re-added back in the Senate, and that's why we're asking people to call the Senate.
The one of the questions for me is just because we remove them from the GCA and the
suppressors
NFA does not mean that states can't now. We're going to go back to the problem with states setting their own laws and then having to fight those. California immediately is going to say no. They're going to put a thing forward immediately banning suppressors.
Well, the California suppressors are already banned in California.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Okay, so that's already covered by.
Yeah,
so
you talking about because they're going to remain a GCA item now.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now,
so
if you get removed from the GCA as well, then that would be great. But you got to.
That would be when you could buy them at a Walgreens if they were off the GCA.
Yeah, but you got to look at it this way too. Then they're going to say, "Hey, they're accessories and not arms." They have no on the Second Amendment.
Correct. That's the only. It's a double-edged sword. So all the states that have laws in place to block suppressors on the open market, that's already all there. They're not going to be fighting against. They're not going to go setting any new laws because they already don't have cans.
Correct.
Okay. That sucks. That's really crappy for Californians because, good Lord, every single rifle in my safe back there, I'm going to have a can on every single one of them.
Oh yeah, like I went to buy cans tonight, and I was gonna buy 2, even though I could like, dude, if this goes through, they're gonna be really hard to get, and I have my eye on a couple cans, so I was gonna
again. I don't want to scare people into panic buying. They will come back into stock. Things will calm down. It's going to be crazy for a while. Your life doesn't change just because you don't have a can that you can buy. Let things calm down. Don't overpay for something. Let stuff calm back down. Within the next year or so, the supply chain will fix itself, and you will see. You could go in 5 days and pay $1,000. A year from now, you might be looking at $600 because the prices is going to, market's going to fix itself.
That will be awesome. So Walter, are you going to make some and you're going to sell them to me?
That comment right there is exactly what my customer and friend wants me to make for his Mosin. Was that the old Mosin can? I think that's what he was telling me he wants.
Yep. Yeah. The Texas, that is more of a symbolic law. So
yeah. And then that gets down to state versus Fed, and that's a whole fight. But now this would moot all of that anyways.
Yeah, gutter cheese. If once this gets signed in the Senate and goes to the president's desk, you will be able to correct.
Yep. Oh, so that's the other thing. We need to have a long, hard talk with the people who have never had cans about the safeties of using a can. You need to make sure you got proper alignment. Do not use crush washers. Use shims. Make sure everything is torqued on properly. Make sure you can look down that barrel and see a little light at the end of the tunnel and not a half moon. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And then plastic suppressors do spook me a little bit, especially on a rifle, because there is a lot of pressure in that tube. But be careful and make whatever you want once this goes through and experiment and find some cool stuff out there.
Is it too early to be this excited
Yes.
I mean, here's the thing. Anything can change, right? Anything can change. But knowing what I know and talking to the people I talk to, this is the closest we have ever been, ever. I would say in our lifetimes, but
In
the
multiple
last 100
generations.
since 1934, this is the closest we've gotten to getting them off the NFA.
For anybody out there watching, I got so excited to come talk about this. I was in bed. I'm sitting here pantsless right now because I wanted to come discuss this with Crump. So I was ready for bed, and then I saw he went live.
Holy guacamole. Yeah, I sent we have a little text group called Gun Bunnies with like Walter, Joe, Shooting Gallery. You know him as Shooting Gallery. I guess people. Okay, Flying Rich, Babyface B, Shooting Gallery, Take the Harbor Firearms, Hank Strange, and me. And I said, "Hey, I'm going live. Anybody wants to join?" And Patrick's like, "I'll be on."
I like talking about this stuff. It's again, this is groundbreaking stuff that we've never even thought about. Like, I never thought that we would get this close to having cans off the NFA. Ever, truly ever. I never thought this would happen. I was just running with, well, if you want a suppressor, send it to me and it'll be a couple weeks and then I can sign it over to you,
The title is Breaking the HPA Is In. And it's not clickbaity because the HPA is in. It's stating what it actually is. But yeah, the Hughes Amendment, I don't think that there's an appetite. Okay, the Senate, there's more of an appetite to get suppressors out of the NFA on the Senate side, and there's more of an appetite for short on the Senate side than there is on the House side.
For the Hughes Amendment, since you mentioned that, and I guess somebody commented it, people are still very spooked because about Hughes items, because they are rare still to this day, extremely rare. Cans proliferated. Sorry, what?
I would say they're in common use.
No. I didn't say not in common use. They are 100% in common use, and that could absolutely be argued. 100% in common use, no doubt.
If you look at the stun gun case, they said 250,000 stun
250,000 was in common use, yes.
And
there are more than that on the register. Yeah.
Transformer machine guns.
Yes.
Circulation.
So no, they are in common use. Most of them are in private hands, and young folk do not get to experience them other than through, if you know somebody, or if you know somebody like me who has an SOT. But most of the people you meet at the range have never shot a machine gun. It is where in the same time, in the last 20 years, cans, suppressors have proliferated like crazy, even with a $200 tax stamp. Also, machine guns are crazy expensive. There is the politicians still see them as extremely scary, even though they are never used in crime ever. Well, other than some Glock switches, but they're pretty much never used in crime.
There's been three crimes with a legally trained.
Yes, with a legal machine gun. Yes,
and two of them were cops.
Really? Mm-hmm. Were they police owned machine guns?
Yeah,
of course they were. They took it from the armory and then did something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So they're never used in crimes. They're in common use. All the arguments are there. It's just, I don't know. I would love to see them come off. I want everybody to be able to go make their own machine guns, even if we just got rid of Hughes and had it where it's back to $200 tax stamp pre-86. That's a step forward. I don't know how that works. I'm not sure the palette for any of that yet.
There's no palette for it.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's no palette for making machine guns illegal. So
now,
pre-1986, post-1986 transfer of machine guns. There's no palette.
There's no palette for that. Now, the interesting thing is the items that have been coming on the market lately that are not machine guns, that have now been ruled and told that they're not machine guns, work pretty well. And they do shoot fast. Even though it's one single function of the trigger per bullet, they still function very quickly. And they give you kind of that feel. They're actually pretty cool. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I really like the
But that's exactly.
The super safety is pretty nice. The only problem I have with the whole entire settlement in the NAGR versus Garland thing is that they agreed to vigorously enforce their patents and not to design an FRT for handguns.
I don't know that this is the time and place for me to start ranting about that case, because I can, and it's very frustrating what the DOJ gave them on paper. Maybe not tonight, maybe next time.
Yeah, celebrate tonight. The short act does have a chance in the Senate. We're going to have to push and push and push. We're going to have to do what we did to the House with the HPA, blow up their phone lines.
And John was saying earlier, for anybody that's tuning in now, call your reps, call your Senate reps tomorrow. Just get up in the morning, get your cup of coffee, get the two phone. Well, it's 2 senators per state, right? Is that how that works? I believe.
Yes.
Get the phone numbers to your 2 senators and call them. And then if you have the time, call all the other senators that are Republicans, all of them. There's only so many. It's not like you're calling the House, which is 400 and something members, right? Like it's a lot more people. Call all the senators, call all the Republican senators. And if you really want to waste some time, then start calling the Democrats, even though they're not going to care.
Yeah, but we have enough to get it through. We actually have a buffer.
Call. Go find your senators. Call. I know my 2, and one of them I don't like, even though he is a Republican. We both the Floridians are Republicans. I will be calling in the morning first thing. And what should we tell them, John? What are we looking for them to do for us?
For the reconciliation bill to be passed with Hearing Protection Act Section 2, and re-add in the short act. So re-add in the short act, and
dear Mr. or Mrs. Senator, I'm calling on behalf of all my friends and family. We would like you to re-add when this reconciliation bill comes through. We want to make sure that you vote yes with the full Section 2 HPA in there, Hearing Protection Act, and we need you to re-add the short act back into it. Have a nice day. That's all you got to do.
Yep, that's all you had to do. But this is a win, and it's not even okay. It's even illegal to mark where the third hole would go.
For youngins out there used to be lowers that you could buy that had a laser etching of a third pin. So you were like, oh, it looks cool because that's where it would go. The ATF shut that crap down. You couldn't even do that. So
they claimed it was a guide.
Yep. Yep, I remember all these things.
Yeah, it was a guide. Oh yeah, they shut it down. There was actually a company that got in trouble because they were selling lowers with the markings on it.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, well, again, that's neither here nor there how hard it is to find jigs. Yeah, no, they went after some crazy stuff in their time. Sorry, that was my cuckoo clock.
Pretty cool. I like cuckoo clocks.
We when we got married, we were gifted a German cuckoo clock. So that's
yeah. From what I'm hearing, John Cornyn is actually for both, which I think he might be trying to save his ass because he was getting freaking primaried from.
Was he the one that pushed? He was the one that flipped and pushed through the
Bipartisan Safer Communities Act.
Yep, that's what I thought. And And he was the one that told us, "Oh, it will never be used against you." And then now look at where we are.
Yeah. I remember arguing with certain people, certain gun rights activists who said, "You're fear mongering. They're not
Yep.
going to use that against us."
Always. That's always how it goes. Well, how
Yeah,
did
they will.
again, I was in middle school. I was not super old, but how did the after the Twin Towers, how did that Patriot Act go? Oh, it's never going to be used against American citizens. It's not for that. It'll never be used for that. Don't worry about it. It's to make you safer.
Yeah, the short act. I mean, the HPA is in. The short act is not in, but it can be re-added back in the Senate. So we need to put as much pressure as we put on the House with the HPA and with the short act.
You just need a note at the top of the screen that says that for anybody coming and going.
Yeah, I think I've repeated myself
Like 10 times.
Something like that. But yeah.
So I'm reading through all the comments in the little tiny screen. That I should go full screen. That would make my life easier.
Yeah, they're going by fast.
It's incredible how many people you have on here right now. Like, this is nuts.
Yeah. But any other questions before we get out of here?
Yeah, anything big? Section 2 added back in. Yes, Section 2 is back in. And then goes back to Wiccan Prohibition.
Yeah, everything does go back to Prohibition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prohibition thing. Oh, by the way, if you guys haven't checked out John Crump live on Rumble, we did an awesome stream today. If you haven't seen it, it's
yeah, I gotta go watch that. You were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, it's the dude from Narcos season 3, the guy that is based on. So he
not the actor, the actual agent.
The actual agent. So yeah, he talks about how like he decided to spend the summer at the Jersey Shore, and he became a temporary police officer, and some girl tried to sell him meth, and that ended up him down the road of taking out the Cali cartel.
It's a good story.
Yeah,
I seriously have to go watch it because I know we talked about it earlier and I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, but yeah, cool guy. A lot of good stories. Asked him, "Were you ever scared?" He's like, "Hell yeah!" He's like, "Every morning, my partner and I, one of us, we would switch off starting the car while the other one hid behind the concrete post with our hands over their ears." It was pretty cool.
I didn't see that. If there was a question from Walrus Hunter, I didn't see it.
Let's see, Walrus Hunter.
Somebody said excellent question, but I didn't actually see what he asked.
Let's see if I can scroll up and see it.
Just joined. So the Short Act and HPA both going through. Okay, so again, the HPA is back in with the Section 2 that everybody wanted. The Short Act is not in yet. There's a very, very, very high likelihood that we can get the votes to get the Short Act back in on the Senate side. So starting tomorrow, you need to be calling your senators. Start small. Call your 2 senators and say you want them to vote yes on the reconciliation bill. Make sure the HPA with Section 2 is in it. And I want you to put the Short Act back in. Then call other Republican senators and tell them the same thing. And then if you really want to waste your time, call Democratic senators and tell them as well.
Could the Democrats use this to put it back in? Once it's removed from the NFA, it will take an act of Congress, a law, policy change, which we need a supermajority to get it back in.
It would become policy and not reconciliation because it's no longer budgetary, right?
Correct.
So again, that goes back, and Crump mentioned that if it's reconciliation, it's only half. Policy changes require supermajority, which is a much higher threshold to get anything through. Be sure. Yeah, I need to start making some T-shirts that say the Assassin's Lobby because I thought that was hilarious. Was that the guy that thought Guam was going to flip over? Was that the one that mentioned the Assassin's Lobby? I can't remember.
I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me.
But senators suck. Who should I call? If your senators are Democrats,
all of them, all Republicans.
Focus on, if you have 2 Democrat senators in your state, focus on the Republicans. We have the votes to do it if the Republicans go along with it. Call Republican senators. It doesn't matter what state they're in. Call them. Yeah, Assassin's Lobby morale patch. We might have to do that. I might have to get some of those made. Just start handing them out
If
to
you
people.
remove suppressors from the NFA, does it also repeal the 30-year mandatory minimum for crime?
No,
That's
I don't
all.
think so.
I don't know.
I would assume, this is me not being a lawyer and not knowing the law, but I would assume that the NFA is separate than laws surrounding, unless the law specifies an NFA weapon being used, then you would say, well, that's no longer an NFA weapon, so it doesn't count. If it specifies suppressors, then it specifies suppressors. That's me guessing, though.
If you got popped, you're still doing time. David Kustoff. That was an excuse. The interesting thing with David Kustoff, when he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you," I called up someone I know. I said, "He wants to talk to me." He goes, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "This is these are his. This is what he's gonna claim." But they gave me like a full rundown of what he discussed that he was gonna claim with me. So
Poor man's gold. Sorry, Crump. Poor man's gold. Do you think Trump will sign it if passed? 100%. He's pushing. Trump is kicking them in the butt right now, telling them do this. He doesn't necessarily care about the gun stuff as much as we do. He wants his big beautiful bill, and he wants to sign it so he has something he can say. He wants it. He is literally pushing them to do all of this.
Well, Trump called on Saturday over to the Ways and Means Committee and demanded that they put in the Short Act and HPA.
Really? I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Correct. I got that from a very reliable source.
That's very interesting. I'm glad somebody is in his ear advocating it for us this time.
Yep. Yeah, but he has some pretty good people in his ear.
I mean, I know Trump Jr. is. I mean, he's been pro suppressor and all this forever.
Yeah. So 100 clearly they didn't listen. You're exactly right. But 100% he will sign it. He's already said he will sign it. He's committed to signing the HPA or the shush or the short act or all of them, no matter what comes to his desk.
If Trump doesn't pass it, I'm going to be very disheartened. Trump is not the block. Trump isn't the problem. Trump will, if he gets his big beautiful bill in front of him, he's putting pen to paper. He's not what's stopping any of this.
IG-72. I don't think it's Don Jr. that's in his ear.
Interesting.
I know who he's in his ear.
I can tell that you know who it is, but you're not going to say online, which is great.
Yeah, but trust me, they have a vested interest in all this.
Interesting. Okay. Big beautiful bill. Can we individual states still ban them? Yes, 100% individual states can still ban them, and those need to be fought up through the Supreme Court on, I don't know which direction you want to fight that. If they are in common use and can't be banned because they're part of arms, there's a whole bunch of arguments that need to be made in front of the Supreme Court.
There is a challenge to suppressors in Illinois, and I think there's going to be others.
That's great.
Shortly.
They meet all the qualifications of in common use. Not the Hughes Amendment. What's the one that just went through that we have to look back at history, text history, tradition?
Bruin.
So for the California people out there, I feel like it's just a matter of time. The courts run slow though, so it could be 5 or 10 years. I don't know. The courts are so slow.
Yeah, Rich does live near Trump's Florida house. I live near his Virginia house.
I don't live near either of y'all.
And I live near his DC house, known as the White House.
So jail-free cans within 90 days. No 90 days. Jail-free cans the moment pen goes on paper, as far as I understand.
Yeah. It's a budget bill.
Yep. Yeah, we're starting it in July 15th or anything like that.
No, it's a budget bill. Destructive devices are not being touched.
Oh God, no. If you think machine guns don't have a pallet for machine guns, just don't even consider DDs. That is so, I mean, that is outer space compared to ground level for the Hughes Amendment. By the way, I've thought about getting an 09 or an 010, but I don't know if the ATF will give me one, being that I'm in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
Did the HPA get passed in its original text? Yes. Number 2 is back in. Sorry, John, I'm answering for you if you don't mind. You look tired.
Go ahead.
Number 2 is HPA got passed. Number 2 is back in. The short act is not in yet. Starting tomorrow, call your senators, then call all the other Republican senators and say, hey, when the reconciliation bill comes in front of your desk, we want approval on HPA with Section 2, and we want you to vote the short act back into it.
Yeah. I've been up since 6 a.m.
So all the paper cans, Walt says, so all the paper cans will be set free. Yeah, I think that's the way it works, is once they're gone, it's off the NFA. You don't even have to call the ATF. They're just no longer on the NFA. The NFA is just, they're not there.
Your buddy will probably.
Oh, Jalapeno Prepper says 90 days after POTUS signature, it's in the clarified bill. So I will have to.
Okay, maybe they originally wasn't in there. Maybe it is.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
You got 90 days to try to find any suppressor out there, because every single one will be sold out.
They're already sold out, dude. I told you I was trying to get 2 tonight.
You're gonna make me go right now to one of my wholesale websites and see what they're, because they had them earlier.
Yeah, but I don't like buying them on full price.
No, if you want, well, I don't know how that would work, but I can go look.
And he is gone. I guess he just 90 day. Yeah. Yeah, I've been up. I have more to do. I gotta go write a whole nother article. So yeah, it's gonna be fun tonight. Maybe I'll take tomorrow off and not do anything, but we'll see. And let me add Patrick back in, because I forgot he doesn't have the ability to add himself back in.
I hit the wrong button and I used the same tab to try to go to one of my wholesale sites. So I won't do that this time. You want to wrap it up though?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna wrap it up. I still gotta go write my articles. I got like 2 articles I need to write.
I need to go to bed because I got a 2-year-old that will 100% wake me up at about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I've only been up for like 36 hours, man.
Dude, you are on a different level than me. Your TISM is totally different than mine. I can't do that. I need my like 9.5 hours of sleep every night.
When you mix autism with ADHD,
it's a superpower until you burn yourself out.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, guys. I'm gonna go finish my article. Hopefully, I'll be in bed by midnight. Hopefully.
Oh God, I'm gonna be fast asleep.
And I'll probably be back on tomorrow with something. So thank you for watching. And with that, we are out of here. Talk to you guys later.
Good night.